So hello guys, welcome to my YouTube channel Med School with Shubham. I am Shubham Mane, a third professional MBBS student, and I shall be teaching you anatomy. I have started a series on embryology in which I have completed the entire general embryology, and in my previous lecture I have started the pharyngeal arches, in which I have explained you about the pharyngeal arches. And today I will be teaching you about the derivatives of the pharyngeal arches. Derivatives means what are the things that will be deriving from these pharyngeal arches. So I have drawn a small diagram over here. This is the first pharyngeal arch, this is the second pharyngeal arch, and this is the third pharyngeal arch. Now each pharyngeal arch will be having an artery component, a nerve component, a cartilage component or a bone component, and a muscular component. Many of the books refer this muscular and the bone content together as a skeletal component. Some books they separate it, they do it separately. That this is skeletal. This is the bone content, bone component, and this is the muscular component. But some books says that they are both equal. That is skeletal component. Okay. So now this artery component will give rise to the artery of this pharyngeal arch. This nerve component will give rise to the nerve of this pharyngeal arch. This bony content will give to the cartilage, bone, and the ligament of this pharyngeal arch, and this muscular component will give rise to the muscle of that pharyngeal arch. Okay. Now each pharyngeal arch will be having its separate component. Okay. Now let's come first to this nerve component. Now the nerve will come out from this nerve component. Okay. And after coming out, it will get divided into two. The one will be supplying the same pharyngeal arch, and one it will go upward and it will supply the upper pharyngeal arch, or it will get joined with the nerve of the upper pharyngeal arch. I hope this is clear. Assume that this is the nerve component of the pharyngeal arch number 2. Okay. Now this nerve, one will go outside, or it will supply that pharyngeal arch. It will be having this nerve. This is the nerve of the first pharyngeal arch. This is the nerve of the second pharyngeal arch. Now the second part of the nerve will go upward and it will join with this. Okay. Now this nerve which is coming out from this pharyngeal arch, this nerve is called as the post traumatic nerve. Okay. And the nerve which is joining the upper nerve, or which is going to the pharyngeal arch in the above side, this nerve is called as the pre-traumatic nerve, post-traumatic nerve, and the pre-traumatic nerve. Similarly, and this is the post-traumatic nerve of the first pharyngeal arch. This is the post-traumatic nerve of the first pharyngeal arch. Okay. Now each pharyngeal arch will be having a post-traumatic nerve and a pre-traumatic nerve, but the pre-traumatic nerve of the second pharyngeal arch will only persist. Rest all the pre-traumatic nerve will get degenerated or disappear. Let me repeat the statement. Only the second pharyngeal arch pre-traumatic nerve will be remaining. Rest all the pre-traumatic nerve will get disappeared or degenerated. Okay. So all the pre-traumatic nerve from here or from here, all will those get degenerated. Only the pre-traumatic nerve of the the second pharyngeal arch, that will be joining the post-traumatic nerve of the first pharyngeal arch. The pre-traumatic nerve of the second pharyngeal arch. This is the pre-traumatic nerve of the second pharyngeal arch, and this pre-traumatic nerve of the second pharyngeal arch, it is going and joining with the post-traumatic nerve of the first pharyngeal arch. Okay. So let me name these nerves now. So the post-traumatic nerve of the first pharyngeal arch means this one. The post-traumatic nerve of the first pharyngeal arch is the mandibular nerve. The post-traumatic nerve of the first pharyngeal arch is the mandibular nerve. The post-traumatic nerve of the second pharyngeal arch is the facial nerve. Okay. Now, if you have learned about the head and neck, I hope you are having your exams in the some time. So if you have learned about the head and neck topic, I hope you can answer this question. That there is a nerve which forms a connection between the facial nerve and the mandibular nerve. Or let me frame the sentence in a different way. There is a nerve which will be forming a connection, or which will be joining the facial nerve and the trigeminal nerve. This mandibular nerve is the branch of the trigeminal nerve. So there is a nerve which will be joining between the facial nerve and the mandibular nerve, and that is this pre-traumatic nerve, because it is joining this facial nerve and this mandibular nerve, and this is the connection between the facial nerve and the mandibular nerve. I hope you have guessed the answer. If you have not guessed the answer, let me tell you. This pre-traumatic nerve of the second pharyngeal arch, the pre-traumatic nerve of the second pharyngeal arch is the chorda tympani nerve. Chorda tympani nerve. I hope you can recall the facial nerve. What do you say? Remind about the recall the concept of the facial nerve, in which you can remember that from the posterior side of the middle ear, from the middle of the middle ear, you can get the chorda tympani coming out from the facial nerve, and it is going and joining the mandibular nerve, or you can say the lingual nerve of the mandibular branch. Okay, so that is the chorda tympani nerve. This chorda tympani will be joining the facial nerve and the mandibular nerve. So in this way, this artery component will give rise to artery, this bone component will give rise to bone, cartilage and ligament. You have to learn those things. Okay, only this pre-traumatic and post-traumatic concept was very important, because many of the students, they don't understand the concept of pre-traumatic and the post-traumatic. It is they directly learn it. I have now explained you what actually does pre-traumatic means, what actually post-traumatic means. Pre-traumatic means it is going to supply, or it is going to join the pharyngeal arch nerve prior to that. Means it was arising in the second pharyngeal arch, but it went prior to that and it joined the artery or nerve of the first pharyngeal arch. Now I have made this diagram, made this table of the derivative of the pharyngeal arches. It is given in a very simplified manner. The arches name: first pharyngeal arch, second pharyngeal arch, third, fourth and the sixth pharyngeal arch. The nerve of this pharyngeal arch, the muscles of this pharyngeal arch, the cartilage or the bones deriving from this pharyngeal arch, and the arteries of deriving from this pharyngeal arch. So let's look one by one. So let's take the arch number 1. So in the arch number 1, the mandibular nerve, as I said, mandibular nerve is the post-traumatic nerve. The mandibular nerve is the post-traumatic nerve, and the chorda tympani nerve is the pre-traumatic nerve. Okay, and the muscle, why this chorda tympani is written over here and why it is not written over here? Because the chorda tympani is ultimately going to join the first pharyngeal arch, though it is arising from the second pharyngeal arch, but it is going into the first pharyngeal arch. I hope this. So whenever this nerve comes out, it will come out from the first pharyngeal arch. I hope this is clear. Now it is arising from the second pharyngeal arch, but it will go upward internally and then it will come out from this pharyngeal arch from the first pharyngeal arch. Therefore it is written as the pre-traumatic nerve of the first pharyngeal arch. Okay, now so chorda tympani and the mandibular nerve. The muscles will be, and here also the second pharyngeal arch, the post-traumatic is the facial nerve. What are the muscles of the first pharyngeal arch? All the muscles of mastication, the buccinator and all those things you have studied in the head and neck. I will be teaching you whenever I teach you the head and neck, all those muscles. Then you have the tensor veli palatini, tensor tympani, the anterior digastric, anterior belly of digastric. Then you have the mylohyoid. Then the cartilage bones or ligaments of the first pharyngeal arch. You have the mandible, malleus, incus and the spine of the sphenoid. And the ligament, you have the sphenomandibular ligament and the anterior ligament of the malleus. And the artery that you have is the maxillary artery. I have made this diagram, this tabular form with different colors and pens. And this is the second pharyngeal arch, the post-traumatic nerve. See, everywhere you can see the post-traumatic nerve. Post-traumatic, 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 post. Only the pre-traumatic you can find in this first pharyngeal arch. Okay. Some books they write this pre-traumatic over here only, but in maximum books you can see the pre-traumatic now in the first pharyngeal. Both are right, don't worry about that. But to follow maximum books, you better you write the pre-traumatic now in the first pharyngeal arch only. Now the facial now. Facial now you have the muscles, you have the facial muscles, the stapedius, the posterior belly of the digastric, and this stylohyoid. Then the cartilage, bone and the ligament from the second pharyngeal arch. You have the stapes, you have the styloid process, stylohyoid ligament, the lesser cornua and the upper cornua of the hyoid. Then artery, you have the stapedial artery and the hyoidal artery. Then the third pharyngeal arch, what are the derivatives? Nerve, you have the glossopharyngeal nerve. Muscle, you have the stylopharyngeus muscle, the lower body of and the greater body of the cornua. These are the bones and the ligaments. And the artery, you have the common carotid and the internal carotid. In this way, you have to learn all these things. This is a straightforward 3-marker question that comes in your exam. What are the derivatives of first pharyngeal arch? What are the derivatives of second pharyngeal arch? Most important, you will get a question on the first and the second pharyngeal arch, because it's the most important thing that they ask. The third, fourth and fifth, there are chances that they might ask this, because in previous exams once or twice they have asked. But the maximum questions they have asked is on the first and the second pharyngeal arches. So you focus more on these two arches. Baki the third, fourth and fifth, it's up to you. Even if you leave those, leave it on your risk. But don't even dare to leave the first and the second pharyngeal arch. It's very most important thing in this pharyngeal arches topic. In the fourth, you have the superior laryngeal nerve, that is a post-traumatic, the cricothyroid, then the muscles of the palate except the tensor velar palatini, because the tensor velar palatini has been formed in the first pharyngeal arch. And this stylopharyngeus, in the muscles of the pharynx, you have the stylopharyngeus exception. It is not from the fourth pharyngeal arch, because stylopharyngeus is formed in the third pharyngeal arch. And the cricopharyngeus, because cricopharyngeus will be forming in the sixth pharyngeal arch. Okay. Then in the bone, cartilage or ligament, you have the laryngeal ligament, means the ligaments of the larynx. The laryngeal cartilage. Artery, you have the arch of aorta and the right subclavian artery. Then in the sixth pharyngeal arch, you have the recurrent laryngeal nerve. Here you had the superior laryngeal nerve, and here you have the recurrent laryngeal nerve. Both of these are the branches of the vagus nerve. Both of these are the post-traumatic. As I said, all the pre-traumatic nerves, they get degenerated. Only the pre-traumatic you can see in the first pharyngeal arch or the second pharyngeal arch. Whichever book you follow, you just read that what is written in that, and you write those things in your exam. Then you have the cricopharyngeus, all muscles of the larynx except cricothyroid, because cricothyroid is formed in the fourth pharyngeal arch, sorry. And then you have the laryngeal cartilage over here also, and the pulmonary artery and the ductus arterius that you will be forming. So this was about the derivatives of the pharyngeal arch. I hope this is very clear to you guys. See, again I'll tell you, every pharyngeal arch will be having an artery component, a nerve component, and one skeletal component and a muscular component. Okay, the nerve component will give rise to the two types of nerve, the post-traumatic nerve and the pre-traumatic nerve. The pre-traumatic nerve will migrate upward, and then it will join to the post-traumatic nerve of the previous pharyngeal arch. So all the pre-traumatic nerve, they get degenerated. Only the pre-traumatic nerve from the first pharyngeal arch can be seen. And what are the names? It is the mandibular nerve, chorda tympani, and the facial nerve, as I explained you before. And you have to rectify this entire table, because you will get a straightforward question. If you write all these things perfectly, you will get 3 out of 3 in your exams. So better you rectify all these things. And it's very easy actually. If you go from top to bottom, you can correlate. Means this you have in the facial region. This also you have in the facial region. Here you get in the pharynx region. As you go down, then you can get again the pharynx things, and then you go down, you will get the larynx things. So as you go down the pharyngeal arches, the derivatives also goes down in that way only. I hope this is very clear to you guys. There's a clinical anatomy over here. Let me write the name for that. Clinical anatomy. The clinical anatomy for this pharyngeal arches is the, just a minute. The clinical anatomy, a very important clinical anatomy that you have over here is the branchial cyst. Branchial cyst. Well, this is a very important clinical anatomy. It is a type of cyst, or you can say if the cervical sinus persists, then it causes branchial cyst. Okay. Details of the branchial cyst, I will be making a short video or a short on my channel. Though you just remember about this branchial cyst that it is just a clinical anatomy. Details we will be learning in the future classes. So this was about the pharyngeal arches and the derivatives of the pharyngeal arches. I hope this is very clear to you guys. Thank you for staying with me. Please like my video, share my video, and also subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you need the notes of these lectures, please DM me on my Instagram handle. I will send you the notes of all these things. Similarly, I hope you can see these notes. See, in the similar format, I have made my notes in this colorful way. Red, blue, green, black, all these things I have used in that. So I hope, please I request you, please follow my Instagram also, and also subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thank you so much, guys.